So it looks like letting terrorist organizations be in charge of different areas is now back in fashion. Something that has happened in recent days is basically, or at least it is said, we didn't, I believe we still don't have a confirmation, or the Prime Minister's office, the Israeli Prime Minister's office is still denying it. But it looks like Palestinian Authority is in charge of the Rafah crossing together with Egyptian officials and I also believe some European officials. Um, I believe Israel supposedly still retains some sort of basically, they are supposedly not on the site at all, but supposedly still retain some sort of oversight over who goes in and goes out. Basically, they have to approve anything. Um, and we'll talk about it today. Joining me today is Alex. Welcome to the Daily Objective. And yeah, I mean, where to even start with this? You know, when it came to, even when it came to any sort of ceasefire deal, something that we've heard from Netanyahu pretty much consistently is that, I mean, not only that Israel would retain the control of Rafah crossing, but it would retain all of basically southern border with Egypt. So, I mean, Prime Minister's office is still denying it. So I guess as long as you don't say that you're doing it, you're not, I guess, not doing it. It's a sort of, yeah. But what do you make of this? It came out pretty suddenly. I'm not sure if, I mean, technically you could expect it, but still sort of not even get no basically not even it being said officially. We're
Hmm.
still pretty much, we just found out about it, or not just
Yeah.
found about it, but we pretty much found out about it from the Palestinians and not Israel.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really interesting because the fact that BB lied is okay, whatever. BB lied. BB lies. We know that. We've had him since when did he become prime minister? When I was like, 7 years old or something, right? So, he's been prime minister like all of my life. I mean, pretty much. Okay. Aside from a slight little gap where we had some other losers in the middle. But I was a voter many years ago, right? I was a voter. I think it's because now it's much more difficult to be such an open liar. In the just because we have such huge proliferation of news everywhere. So we would have to wait till the morning, right, with our coffees, until everybody was updated. It wasn't a million years ago where we started to find out about the BB lies, right? But now it's just like it's too fast, can't keep up with it. Well, I don't know what to say. It's so I'm failing to understand what the whole thing was about. Like, what was the whole war about? And we're hanging it around BB's neck, and absolutely we should because he's the leader. But we also have very experienced, very highly decorated generals and chiefs of staff and strategists who we pay a great deal of money. Um, we, as in the Israeli individual, we pay a great deal of money for these people to be able to put forward the finest military strategy and to do it from a place that I couldn't because I recognize my own limitations in that, I've really thought long and hard about I would have the whether or not I would have the balls, or not necessarily the balls, whether or not I would be able to handle it, right? If I had to send young boys and men into battle, right? My logical part of my brain knows that you have to defeat your enemies. You don't have any other choice. But there is, I don't know if I could handle that decision, right? So you know, I therefore have to employ, right, the best people for that particular job. And I thought we had the best. I mean, obviously, I knew that they were not the best, but supposedly these are people who know the right thing to do. They understand fully. It's not like there's a lack of understanding. It's a, you know, there's no. I don't believe. I believe BB's a liar, but I believe there was no will to implement this on the part of the IDF. And most of that came from just cowardice.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really, I don't know if I want to say disappointing of Netanyahu, but sort of, whenever it comes to pretty much judging any politics, look at America, I'm looking at my own country. It's always, I'm much more critical of sort of my own side than sort of like bothering with the other side, because I know I'm not gonna get any sort of from the Israeli left or the so-called left. I know I'm not gonna get any sort of eradication of Hamas, unless we bring the labor from like the 40s. I know I won't like get anything like that. But Netanyahu is supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be, the
No,
one.
I want to dispel this. I'm sorry. Okay. Like, okay, I just want to explain. For all of his faults, Ehud Barak, and I believe I'm not a fan, but he is a fine he is a fine soldier. Okay, like we have very fine soldiers who are on the left, right?
Mhm.
Maybe mainly that's also because of they don't of a lack of diversity of thought. Okay, but yeah, I just want to just had to say that.
You mean like from the past, but not in
I mean, Ehud Barak is recent. I mean, he's my time, right? That he was, we're talking. I mean, I understand that maybe I'm a million years older than you, but he's a two-time Medal of Honor winner. Medal of Honor, yeah, he's a two-time winner of the Israeli Medal of Honor. He participated in some of the bravest, I mean, most daring, raids. And he, for all of his faults, and he's a political shit show. Okay, I don't want to get into his political folly, but he wanted to attack the Iranian nuclear plant in 2011. He implemented a whole plan for it. He's hawkish, and his politics are screwed because he thought, oh yeah, we'll just like he knows we shouldn't retreat from Lebanon, but he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, let's do it, let's give it a go, right? It's just his politics is messed up, but you know as a soldier, I'm not sure we could fault him.
Sure. I mean, there is a question here if sort of now, I don't know if you want to call it a retreat from Rafah, but basically getting out of Rafah, it would. I would be surprised if the IDF generals are like, yeah, this is like a smart like a decision. Like if we are at that point, then uh you're kind of fucked. If
Mm-hmm.
that is sort of like the thinking that's going on here, I think we have a problem. But much more realistically, something that I think was my understanding is basically as a part of the ceasefire deal, and I'm now trying to count because it was supposed to be 42 days, and I'm wondering when that is running out. I guess I think we still have like two
two
or
weeks
three
yeah, I would
weeks.
say
Yeah, yeah.
around 2 weeks, yeah.
Since that runs out, but basically the negotiations for that are supposed to start. We're supposed to start in like the middle of it, and the end of the all of negotiations would be a complete withdrawal of the IDF from Gaza. And so now I'm wondering something that at least we've heard when first this deal came about is that yeah, we accept the deal. Trump forces the deal, but then
Yeah.
we'll like break it, or Netanyahu will break it, and we're going back. But now with yeah, Rafa, I mean, Bonnie in the chat is asking, what is the exact situation right now at Rafah? Is Israel in
Mm-hmm.
control at all, or is it controlled by
Mm-hmm.
Egypt and PLO? Or so we're specifically talking about Rafah crossing, basically one of two or three. How many crossings there are?
Rafia. So there's Rafia, there's Erez, and there's something that begins with K. I'll whatever, can't remember, but it's yeah.
Oh,
There's three.
yeah,
Yeah, there's yeah. I don't want to say it because it's like right on the top of my tongue
K-
and it's bothering me now.
yeah, yeah.
Hashalom. No. Uh,
No, no.
Keren Mashu. I don't know. Sorry. No.
Something like that. Keresh.
Yeah, I know. Keren
Uh,
Shalom. Ah, there you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, so there's a few, but
I'm
basically,
glad we could at least, get something, be excited about something today.
yeah, we know, no, there's a bunch of uh no, Kerem Shalom. Yeah, now I remember.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's a bunch of crossings, and basically,
yeah.
the Palestinian Authority is now in control with both Egyptian and European officials. Is at control at one, and there are basically crossings happening. Again,
I mean, the whole
supposed.
that whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me though. Like, I mean, the PA they're Jordania, if you want to think about it. Like their whole, we're talking about bringing people basically from different cultures, basically from different clan structures, that are at war
Well,
with each other.
yeah,
I find it, I'm not convinced of how big that presence is.
sure. I mean, something to jump
I
in
mean,
from
any
my
presence is a
understanding. I
failure
mean, Palestinian Authority was in control of Gaza already, and apparently one of the
for
things that
about 3 weeks, three or
yeah,
four
yeah,
weeks. It
sure. I
was
mean,
like
fair enough,
nothing.
but they were, and something they've said is, basically them being in control is basically just going back to the 2005 deal. Basically, they were supposed to be in control, so now they are back in control.
Yeah, good luck.
Uh,
That'll last about 5.5 minutes.
yeah, I mean, Well, yeah, I'm like really thinking like what else is there to say? Like there was
Well,
something we were in a sense promised something,
mhm.
something was supposed to happen here, and now it's changed. And again, it's changed with something. Again, this is not an official. Technically, officially, the prime minister's office says Israel is still in control here. So that's what also. I mean, we
I
have
mean,
one.
we know
Yeah.
more or less where our divisions are. I mean, it's very, very difficult because every day, I mean, this is not like closed military. Military people, they tend to like want to keep as much, close to their chest as possible, but stuff that it really is totally open source because you can just see, right? You can see if there's one division there or if there's five. I mean, we have, from what I understand, two divisions in the north, right? We have a massive counterterrorism operation happening in Judea and Samaria. And so just from by sheer like just by sheer numbers, I believe it. I totally believe it.
Yeah, I mean, something to bring up. So the Itamar Ben-Gvir has responded to the report saying the government of Israel continues to break its promises and violate the principles it said it would keep. Due to this reckless deal, the prime minister emphasized countless times that he will not allow the Palestinian Authority to manage the crossing, and this would be a security threat. But unfortunately, on this matter as well, he's caved in. The government is allowing the Palestinian Authority, the same one which distributes salaries to terrorists, to control the gate to Gaza. How low will we go? Well, there's still the rest of Gaza.
There's
We're
still,
gonna,
yeah,
yeah.
there's still a lot lower. Yeah. I think Itamar is not. We have not reached the bottom of this one.
Um, yeah. So again, like, where do we even go from this? Like, something that really, I think brings out to me from this is like, are we actually going to go through the whole deal? Are we actually going to do the whole thing? Like
I
we
think
are.
why not at this point? Really, like at this point, you've already lost, right? You've already lost. There's no way for you to reconquer what you've retreated. You can't. I mean, you can, but it's. Uh, I mean, I highly doubt it. I mean, that's just so irresponsible to do to our soldiers. We've retreated. The divisions are gone. Think about as well all of the infrastructure that you need in order to sustain an army in a foreign territory where we don't control the infrastructure. You got to feed those soldiers. You got to have cell phone towers. You got to have bathrooms. You got to have all of this basic stuff. Once you dismantle it, you reckon you can just come boom right on in there? No, we had to pave roads. So no, I just absolutely don't. I really just don't see it happening. Are we going to maintain our infrastructure there? We're building infrastructure in the Golan, pretty far out, pretty near to Damascus, even. But so, but and think about how much we're having to do in order to do that. We're paving roads, right? Because we're signaling that we're going to be here a very long time. Um, that's great, but this is so obvious to me, and that's why I say, Daniel, that the deal is immoral, it is rotten, it is disgusting. But at this point, it literally is like, well, you might as well get the terrorists are already out. Like honestly, once you've released one cannibal into your house, does it really matter if you have 50? It's like, can this situation really be made all that much worse? I don't know, but and they're going to try to sell to us, right? This is what really makes you actually think you're losing your mind is when they try to sell to us, oh, but hang on, we're going to give up, we're going to, give up all of this, but we're going to win in the end because we're going to have a deal with the Saudi dictatorship, right? Which is, I just want to say, like, the Saudis, as it is, have caused us, the Israelis, like actual diplomatic meltdowns, right? Uh, uh, so if you have an Israeli company, okay, you have a product, doesn't matter what it is. You have to be highly aware that whatever product you have, if you sell it to the Saudis, they're going to use it against their people, right? I mean, the NSO group, which is they have basically a cyber offensive cyber capability, which is meant for counterterrorism, objectives. They obviously shouldn't have, but they sold it to the Saudi government. And what happened? Oh, Mohammed bin Salman took the spyware, sent it to Jeff Bezos in a WhatsApp message, and then used it to lure his brother into the Saudi consulate and hacked him to death. And that is the kind of diplomatic fiasco Israel had to deal with for like about 5 years. I can't even remember when that was. And it hasn't, the industry has not really recovered. And the people who, had that company, they were mental, in my opinion, but, they're sanctioned by the US now. So, yeah, great. We can't wait to do more business, please, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Please bring them to me. I wouldn't even take their calls, genuinely. Wouldn't even bother. It's like not worth it to me. It's just like they should be coming and begging us. We're the ones that have got the goods. We're the ones, when I say we're the ones that have got the goods, we're the ones that have, the impressive army who wants to fight, who wants to defend itself, that's built supposedly on meritocracy to a degree, right? There's problems with it, but it's not like the Saudi army, which is like you can't have it too strong because then if it's too strong, it might threaten the regime, right? So we're the ones with the tough military, we're the ones with the advanced technology, and we're the ones who have all of the agricultural technology that they want as well. So there's a lot in it for them. What's in it for me? Truly.
Yeah, I mean, Netanyahu, he always likes to talk about it. He talked about the UN, about now I don't remember the specific thing, but sort of the I don't know, like an arrow of like peace going through the Middle East, basically going through Israel, Saudi Arabia, and basically the nations
It's
that
disgusting.
Israel has normalized relationships with. And again, it's sort of you don't know what to even call it, naivete, but again, he's like a politician. He again should know better. But again, like normalizing relations. Someone said chasing Saudi approval like an angsty teen. I mean, yeah, sort of this idea of like we need to back dictatorships to please like recognize us, to please
It's so desperate.
have
So desperate.
like it really is like from like a 90s like high school, some sort of like a drama
Mm,
where you have like, oh, I want to be like the cool kids, I want to be
yeah.
and it's just a bunch of bullies basically. It's
Yeah.
like that you don't need them. Like Israel, they they need, well, I don't even want to say, well, they need Israel in a sense. The evil nations,
Definitely.
dictatorships need sort of both sanction of the good nations from the
Mm-hmm.
UN, for example, or
Mm-hmm.
through the UN, and also they need the material support. I mean, again, these dictatorships
Yeah.
wouldn't be anything without
So yeah.
the know-how of the. I mean, when it comes to almost all of their wealth comes to like natural resources, and they wouldn't be able to develop
All of
those.
them.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to develop those natural resources without us setting, and by us I mean like Western companies, first of all, even finding the oil in the most parts, setting up the companies around them, setting up the whole infrastructure for them, and then they have just nationalized it, and they needed to import Western experts because they were not even able to like operate those fields. So again,
Yeah,
they would be nothing without the sanctions of the West, and now we are coming back in, as in, we need their approval, we need their
mhm,
sanction when it comes to sort of
yeah,
conducting this. But sort of just
yeah,
slowly bringing it back to this deal. I mean, we've talked about, yeah, at this point, like, can you even neck down on the deal? Now, let's
yeah.
say, I mean, even
I mean,
assuming,
but come on, Daniel. Like, it's just part of the deal is that Hamas is going to disband. Is that, I mean, it's sick. It's truly sick. Like every every house in Gaza has guns. You need guns to defend your family. It's a really sick situation. And I really think that the immigration idea is a good idea for them. But I've met people from Gaza who left a long time ago and are very normal, very, amazing people, but very damaged actually. The people who were resistors left a long time ago. The people who are there are cooperators and friends and family of the regime, and they have big families. So, like, yeah, they have to go. Like, they should go for themselves. Like, fight, like, move on. I mean, we'd love you to. It's a little bit like the Greenland idea, like Trump's Greenland idea. Like, I wish that we were negotiating with people who are like the Greenlanders or whatever, because we would be like, what do you guys want? $5 million a pop? No problem. We'll raise the money. See you in a week. Right? It's like we're just not negotiating, not defending Trump's idea to invade Greenland, right? I'm just saying that, if I believe that that's a situation that could be solved with negotiations and finance, right? If there was will. But for our situation, there's literally no negotiation. Okay, I think we have to encourage you to emigrate.
yeah, Bonnie in the chat is asking, is Alex talking about the hostage deal or something else? Yeah, if we ever
Yeah.
said a deal,
Mm-hmm.
we are talking about that, which, it says a hostage deal, but it has the phase three of it is a complete withdrawal of the
Yeah.
IDF from Gaza. So it is a ceasefire deal, or it has like a path towards another permanent ceasefire.
Can't
Um,
wait. Can't
uh,
wait.
we have a super chat from Bonnie, thank you so much, and a super chat from Apollo Zeus, thank you so much. He says, situation in Rafah, is Israel in control at all, or is it controlled by Egypt and PLO? Or so my understanding is that Israel still is in, I mean, whatever it means, is in military control of Rafah. It's just the Rafah crossing, the border
Mm-hmm.
crossing between Egypt and Gaza that is controlled by PLO. But with this amount of how much information we're getting, I guess, who knows? But I think if
Mm-hmm.
something like this happened, we would have known. And also, Bonnie is saying, can Palestinians leave Gaza through Rafah now? So there have been some
Yeah.
people leaving,
Oh,
some Palestinians
friends
going
of the
to Egypt.
regime,
Uh,
probably snitches.
uh, uh, um, but it's not
I
in
mean, I
big
don't know the
numbers yet.
reason
Yeah, yeah.
for it. Yeah, I'm just saying that. Oh, yeah, if I had to guess, I would say these are people who have cooperated to some degree.
So reports are
Could,
that it's
yeah,
sick
yeah,
people, but
yeah.
no, Israel
Who
is
on earth
literally
has a
not in control
gunshot
of it.
wound in
So,
the middle of Gaza right now? Come on, be sensible.
Bonnie says a
Come
complete,
on.
Bonnie says a complete withdrawal of
Forgive
IDF
my
from
freedom of
Gaza.
consciousness today. It's just this news is like I have to laugh a little bit and
Yeah, I mean, there's
make these jokes.
really
Very sad and very bitter.
because this might, on the face of it, this might not seem like a big deal, but especially with the last few weeks, like we are really going, like this deal might actually completely happen. We might actually see full implementation of it, which means Hamas and other terrorist organizations will be breaking it again and again,
Mhm.
but nobody will care, and Israel will be
Yeah.
expected to fully go through it, and most
Yeah.
likely will, from this, from the way we see it. I mean, Bonnie
Well,
says, yeah, a
the
complete
thing,
withdrawal of IDF from Gaza, and at the same time, Hamas will disband. That's a joke, right? Uh, I, maybe that is.
no, no. What on earth are you talking about? Like, they don't have anything else to do. What are they going to do? Become librarians? Like, it's ludicrous. This is their whole money-making scheme. This
Yeah,
is
and
how,
just to jump
yeah.
in, even if Hamas somehow got disbanded, I mean, we know what the people are. I mean, do you expect them to? Uh,
I mean, who's Hamas? It's a bunch of 15-year-old children. It's the reason they wear these stupid masks and the sunglasses is so that they look scarier, right, to us. Because you could, I mean, even seeing their heights, these are 13 and 14 and 15-year-old boys. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and again, this idea that if we just magically just wave the wand and disband Hamas, that somehow
Mm-hmm.
the people who were in Hamas, or generally the population that have supported Hamas throughout this, will somehow be like, oh, they disbanded one organization. All right, let's. I read this great thing. It's called the American Independence, or constitution or whatever. So let's. I just read the Federalist Papers. So let's try to set up a government based on those. Like, again, any sort of expectations of that
Yeah.
is again ridiculous, especially since Israel will not retain any sort of control in Gaza,
Mm-hmm.
meaning will not. There will be no de-radicalization. There will be no path towards. I mean, imagine if, again, after the Second World War, we would just leave Germany and say, okay, you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, there needed
Well,
to be some amount of trial, some amount of de-radicalization, some amount of
mhm.
denazification. And this will not happen in Gaza. Or at least it's looking like it's every day, it's looking more likely that it will not happen.
Well, to some degree, I also have to say, like, you know, the if I think even about Jordan, right, which is far from a perfect country, but the government there, such as it is, and compared to Saudi Arabia, they have like a thriving democracy, okay, by comparison. If we can, the government of Jordan, such as it is not allowing its Palestinian citizens uh, to be used by Iran. Okay, they're intervening, right? And they're saying no. Okay. And it appears that most of the Jordanian Palestinian identified Arabs that live there are kind of, for the most part, going along with that. So the situation in Gaza with the de-radicalization, radicalization, the whole situation doesn't have to be like this, right? No one is born into this. Like no one is born thinking these like, I don't know what the word is, like just awful things. They're learned. And I think that the de-radicalization process could come from living in a different place, and also believing believing a different believing something different about your history, right? you know believing believing something, what's a Palestinian? Become a Palestinian, right? Because the only thing that a Palestinian means, the only cultural kind of idea that that word has, is a mechanism to fight the Israelis, a mechanism to fight the Jews. Develop your own sense of self. Figure out, what does it mean to be a Palestinian? Figure out your own history, you know, your own culture, that devoid of the Israelis, like they never exist. Once they're able to do that, and they're able to tell themselves, a different, more honest version of history and reality, then I think that truly you could be on the path to, a better future.
Yeah, I
All,
mean,
as we comes from ideas.
yeah, I mean, the only thing they really have is the hatred of Israel, uh, and that is literally nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, with
And
that,
terrorism. you know?
Well, those go hand in hand.
Oh, well,
Um,
come on. I mean, there was they had a lot of great hijackings. Okay, you cannot say that in the 1960s and 70s, when you saw that there was a Palestinian sitting next to you on a plane, that you weren't thinking, ho, 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 how's this going to go? Not a lot of people, not a lot of, countries can really say that about their, themselves.
you know what? I will not give them credit for being good hijackers. I think there are many
Was
different
the
things you could
Soviets that kind
you
of, I
you
think,
can set your life towards than trying to hijack planes.
well, if they hadn't hijacked the plane, well, actually, it really wasn't them. It was actually the kind of the East German, communists, whatever. Then we wouldn't have had the great movie Entebbe, Raid on Entebbe. Amazing movie. You should watch it.
Well, I'll have to check that out. And with that, Alex, any last words? I mean, we'll continue, of
Yeah, Dos
course,
Vidania. I have nothing
following
else to
this.
say. Can't wait. Can't wait for the next, del. I cannot wait for the next chapter of BB Land.
Yeah, I mean, even if this deal goes through, it will be interesting because there are still many. Even if this deal fully goes through, there's still many things to talk about. I mean, there is oh, what do you call it? The trial against Netanyahu, as well as I'm not sure if Netanyahu did Netanyahu promise to step down after this is over. Now I'm not sure if I feel like I remember something like that. Either way, he definitely should. I mean, this happened under his watch, and he should have resigned on the day off.
No
But
shit.
even when this is out, he should definitely and
Mm.
most likely an election to be called, even if it doesn't have to be. But with that, as I said, we'll continue following. There will be no reality show today. We had to postpone
Oh,
it on second minute, unfortunately. But we will be back tomorrow with the daily objective and the reality show, as well as tonight in a few hours. There's the Atlas Shrugged book club. So that's for members, both YouTube members and ARCUK
I've
website
got to read
members.
that book one time. At some point, I'll have to read that Atlas Shrugged.
Well, it's a great book, and even if you start reading it out, you can catch up since we go really into detail. I think we are on about sixth session of one chapter. So it's about session 6 of chapter 7 or so.
Daniel, I just want to say, did you know what Atlas Shrugged reminds me of? Right. So there's this thing that Orthodox men do, which is called studying like the Daf Yomi, right? So you know how you have the Talmud, which is an enormous work of a volume after volume after volume. So every night there is something called the Daf Yomi, which is like the daily page of Talmud. So every day, at the end of the day, you study one day of Talmud, right? And if you start today, and you want to go through the whole thing, right? Studying one page a day, it takes 7.5 years, right? That's what Atlas Shrugged is. It's Siyum Hashas, right? Is what we call it. It's when you finish the Talmud.
Well, I'd give a separate recommendation that works much better. If you want to read a chapter a day, I recommend Les Miserables from Victor Hugo, because that is exactly 365 chapters if you read a chapter a day. So you can read it in a year, and it's an absolutely spectacular read. So I would recommend that. But of course, read Atlas Shrugged too.
To each their own. To each their own.
And with that, thank you, Alex, for joining me today again. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and bye bye.